Just going to say, Al, I know one of the key things you look to in polls like the Eastman poll and the photo usage poll is participation rates, and with these sorts of polls, the rates are high. But I know that you also look to open-ended comments, and I think that kind of neatly segues to your next slide.
Yep, go ahead. We from the very beginning, we've received and continue to receive positive comments, and these are unsolicited. These are employees who just they find it of value, and I've just pulled out a couple here, and I've categorized them by a couple of areas. Educational. I learned a lot about Kodak, about a Kodak business I thought I had a good grasp of. I was wrong. People take, see this as they take pride in the company. Here's one. I'm relatively new. A relatively new Kodak employee, and it helps me learn more about my company. Kodak's an easy company to feel proud of. Or after being here 35 years, I'm proud to be in the Kodak family. Fun. Thanks for putting this survey together. It's a good, fun way to learn about Kodak products. Well done. They want more. I enjoy these polls. Keep them coming. These surveys are a fun way to learn more about the new Kodak. Keep it up. And we get those comments over and over and over again. And as I say, we've been doing this for 2 years, and we're just entering third. Okay?
That's great. The numbers.
By the numbers. As I said, we did a poll roughly every week in 2009. Sometimes we let things go a little longer so we can coordinate these with other announcements. We average about 1,200 participants with every poll, and as I pointed out earlier, the George Eastman poll was one of our top polls of all time. We even repeated it toward the end of last year, around the holidays when a lot of people were off, and it still generated an incredible amount of participation. It's a little bit of an eye test. I'm sure people can't see it, but this is just an example of the kind of data that you can generate through the reporting features of the poll. The engagement rate, and if you could read it, you would see that the top polls here around engagement are all relate to the history of the company and to George Eastman, and then it's kind of a mixture of categories going on. So if you want to move to the next one, David.
Sure.
We just recently completed a general survey of all our communication channels, and we asked, how many times somebody goes to the corporate homepage to get information. Do they have enough information, and so forth. If you don't regularly go to the homepage, why not? What we've heard, what we heard this time, and it's the same thing we heard last year when we did it. People don't have time. They know it's there, they know it's important, but they don't have time. So it's gratifying that in spite of that, you get a comment like this.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I am swamped, I really do love the fast polls. Please keep it up. And that's what we're doing. We're continuing, and it's an important tool, as I say, for engaging our employees, to educate them, and to really drive this company where we want it to go.
That's great, Al. I have a couple questions. I know that we talked earlier about the 3 tenets of social capital are really around connection, conversation. So as you said, your polls have really been great at engaging and so I guess connecting employees. But if we go back to your previous slide with some of the engagement stats, really, really interesting. People are not just responding to the quick and easy 1 or 2 question polls. They're actually, engagement rates and completion rates are quite high for your multi-question polls. Some polls have as many as 5 questions, and it really, I think, speaks to the fact people's desire to share their opinions and compare themselves, but really goes a step further to conversation, doesn't it?
It really does, and that's the important thing, especially when you're trying to do what we're trying to do as a company, to re-engage our employees. we want to make sure everybody understands the direction of the company and where they fit.
Mm-hmm.
I often say, we want to make sure everybody in the boat is rowing in the same direction, because if they're not, we know what happens to that boat.
Sure.
So this is one tool to help us do that. Early on, shortly after we launched the poll, we had a number of questions that people had posed as part of their feedback, and of course it's anonymous, so there's no way to respond directly. So we gathered a number of, or we looked at what the themes were and what the common questions were, and we produced a story for our homepage that addressed those questions, like, is this really anonymous? Can you find me? What are the what do you get from us participating? What do you do with the comments? Do you share them? So we used our homepage, our website, to feed back to employees the questions that we were getting, and we also used it as a reminder to say, remember, these are anonymous. If you have a question that you want answered, make sure you include your name with it.
That's great. Thanks, Al. I know you'll stick around for questions as well.
I will be here.
That's great.